The film is set in Scotland and tells the story of Hallam Foe. Hallam has a peculiar hobby, spying on his neighbors from treetops, particularly during their private moments. He keeps a record of their darkest secrets. One day he spots his friend in a compromising situation with a girl in the woods. Driven by his strange sense of humor, Hallam disguises himself in a primitive outfit and leaps from his treehouse toward them. However, no one finds it amusing, especially when the girl threatens to inform her older brother. Hallam decides to leave his makeshift refuge, but not before saying goodbye to the portrait that reminds him of his late mother. Upon returning home, he disturbs his sister Lucy, who is packing for university. His father Julius hosts a lavish family dinner, but Hallam doesn't feel the warmth of family since his mother's passing. Julius has fallen in love with his secretary Verity, now his new wife, but Hallam refuses to acknowledge her as such. Fed up with the situation, Hallam leaves the restaurant with his sister, who invites him to a cafe. Instead, he chooses to wander the neighborhood, seeking secrets to uncover. During his walk, he notices his father and feels disgusted by Julius's affection for Verity, prompting him to return to his treehouse, the only place he feels safe. At dawn, Hallam sees Lucy leaving the family estate from the rooftop, but cannot bring himself to say goodbye. After her departure, Julius and Verity suggest Hallam move to London to learn the wine trade, keeping him occupied before university. Hallam refuses, asserting his desire to stay in Pebbles forever. Later, he overhears a conversation between Julius and Verity, in which Julius promises to send Hallam away to give them privacy. Frustrated, Hallam spends the rest of the day at the lake, where he finds the sunken boat in which his mother died. He brings Julius to the lake, forcing him to admit that he had been involved with Verity before his mother's death. Hallam insists his mother didn't fall into the boat on her own but was pushed, questioning the suspicious timing of Verity's arrival. Julius reveals that Hallam's mother had been under the influence of sleeping pills when she threw herself into the lake. Later, in his treehouse, Hallam discovers that some local youths have vandalized his mother's portrait. Though enraged, he decides to focus on investigating her death. He confides in Lucy, asserting that someone caused his mother's overdose. Verity overhears this conversation and begins secretly reading Hallam's diary. Meanwhile, Hallam inspects his mother's boat and finds a hole that matches the size of a hammer stored in his workshop. Unexpectedly, Verity visits Hallam in his treehouse and threatens to report his peculiar habits to the police. In response, he counters by accusing her of his mother's murder, pointing to the hammer as the potential weapon. Unshaken, Verity insists that his mother wanted to die. Enraged, Hallam corners Verity, demanding a confession. To his surprise, she begins to seduce him, leading to a passionate encounter that encapsulates Hallam's inner turmoil, his hatred for Verity and his attraction to her. Wasting no time, Hallam heads straight to Edinburgh, ignoring his father's calls along the way. Without a clear plan or money, he spends the night on a rat-infested rooftop. Upon waking, he notices a woman who bears an uncanny resemblance to his late mother. Almost like a ghost, he follows her to the Balmoral Hotel, where she works as a manager and manages to gain access to her office by pretending to seek employment. She offers him a position as a kitchen assistant, just enough to ensure he can see her again. Her name is Kate. However, simply seeing Kate at work does not satisfy Hallam. He begins following her, eventually discovering her home. One day, he sneaks into her apartment while she is at work. Through her apartment window, he notices the hotel's clock tower, a perfect vantage point for observing Kate uninterrupted. While exploring her apartment, he finds a photograph of Kate at her wedding. Though it's apparent she is no longer with her husband. Earning the trust of his supervisor at work, Hallam manages to take brief breaks during his shift to climb the clock tower, as it offers a direct view of Kate's apartment. One day, as he descends the stairs, he encounters Alistair, a senior staff member who reminds him that the kitchen is located in the basement, not upstairs. His good behavior catches Kate's attention, and she praises him for his performance at work, expressing optimism about his future at the hotel. That night, Hallam returns to the clock tower, continuing to spy on Kate with binoculars. Everything seems perfect until he sees her meeting another man. Watching through the skylight in disappointment, he realizes the man is Alistair. The latter leaves hastily, citing a birthday party for his son, revealing that Kate is his mistress. Frustrated, Hallam shifts his focus back to the mystery of his mother's death. With newfound resolve, he visits the police station and accuses Verity of murder. When Hallam returns to the hotel, his careless entry into the clock tower gets him caught red-handed by Alistair, who discovers the binoculars aimed at Kate's apartment. In an attempt to defend himself, Hallam threatens to expose Alistair's infidelity to his family. However, Alistair retaliates by firing him from the hotel. Upon returning home, Hallam is surprised to find an uninvited guest, Alistair, casually playing with his wife and daughter. Seizing the opportunity, Hallam blackmails Alistair into reversing his termination, ensuring the secrecy of his affair. Back at work, Hallam earns a promotion thanks to Kate's recommendation. However, Alistair's visits to Kate continue, growing increasingly aggressive as if attempting to provoke Hallam, who watches everything unfold from the skylight. On his 18th birthday, Andy, a co-worker, invites Hallam for drinks. After Andy drinks excessively, Hallam and Kate find themselves alone, giving Hallam the chance to open up and reveal his peculiar personality. To his surprise, Kate seems drawn to his uniqueness. Kate invites Hallam to her apartment and attempts to seduce him. However, he panics, admitting that he doesn't want a physical relationship but simply wants to sleep beside her. Disappointed but understanding, Kate agrees. As Hallam lies in bed, he gazes at his reflection in the skylight, pondering how drastically his life has changed. The next day, eager and hopeful, Hallam visits Kate's office to ask her out, but she appears regretful about the previous night and insists it cannot happen again. Later, she summons him to an empty room, apologizing for her behavior while under the influence of alcohol. She admits she enjoyed their time together and expresses a desire to maintain their bond. This rekindles their connection, culminating in a passionate encounter at the hotel. However, his joy is short-lived when he later sees Kate speaking with Alistair in her office. While Kate remains calm, Alistair appears visibly angry. The argument escalates, spilling over into Kate's apartment. Unable to stand by, Hallam intervenes, revealing himself. Alistair easily overpowers Hallam, accusing him of spying on Kate. Hallam defensively reveals that she reminds him of his late mother, leaving Kate visibly shaken. Disturbed by his confession, she decides to fire him from the hotel and closes her curtains, cutting off his ability to watch her from the skylight. Lost and aimless, Hallam eventually returns to Kate, determined to explain his unusual habits. She agrees to listen, but under one condition: he must strip off his clothes. When he complies, Kate gently asserts that she is a real person, not a reincarnation of his mother. After that, Kate reinstates Hallam in his job to avoid further complications but offers to let him stay at her apartment if he wishes. Naturally, he agrees immediately. Over time, Kate begins to show a growing interest in his mother's story, even going as far as wearing one of her old dresses. Overcome with emotion, Hallam breaks down in tears, and Kate comforts him with an embrace. This marks the beginning of a genuine relationship between them, free from past mistakes. Just when Hallam believes he has finally found happiness, he receives an unexpected visit from his father, Julius and Verity, who have been informed by the police about his suspicions. However, that is not the reason for their visit. Julius faces financial troubles and needs to develop part of the family estate. According to his late mother's will, her children have the final say regarding the property. Lucy has already agreed, but Hallam is the remaining obstacle. Predictably, Hallam refuses, warning that Verity is manipulating his father and controlling him. Verity attempts to appeal to his sympathy, but Hallam only sees her as an opportunist. Frustrated, Verity insults Hallam's new girlfriend, calling her a mere replica of his mother. Enraged, Hallam returns to the family estate without informing anyone, dragging Verity toward the lake with the intent of drowning her. Consumed by anger and hatred, he comes close to committing the act but ultimately stops himself. He admits he made a mistake in attempting to kill her. Finally, Julius intervenes and confesses that he was the one who punctured the boat's hull to prevent Hallam's mother from going out on the lake. Julius reveals that he had grown tired of repeatedly saving her, and in the end it was her own decision to end her life. Following this revelation, Hallam returns to Edinburgh and reconnects with Kate. She tells him that she believes he deserves someone better than her. Accepting this, Hallam decides to move forward with his life in the city, smiling for the first time in a long while. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.